There have been countless civilizations on the planet over its lengthy history, which have no beginning or conclusion. There are numerous civilizations that have been confirmed, but there are also many civilizations that have yet to be confirmed owing to a lack of evidence. What we're discussing today is the enigmatic Atlantis, also known as the lost civilization. The four great disappeared civilizations are myths about Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, and Jandaia. Many people should be familiar with the word Atlantis, as it frequently occurs in mythology and science fiction films. According to legend, Atlantis was a highly evolved oceanic society with a magnificent culture and technology far beyond our own. However, owing to many tragedies, the kingdom closest to the gods inexplicably vanished some 12,000 years ago. So, if Atlantis went to the bottom of the sea in the movie Aquaman, is the plot structure in the film entirely fictitious? Is it true that the Atlantis civilization existed in the past? Where are the ruins of Atlantis now, if it ever existed? The account of Atlantis was initially recorded in Plato's book Dialogue, in which Timaeus and Critias both narrated the tale of Atlantis in great detail. According to the book, Atlantis was most likely located on the Pillars of Hercules, an island off the coast of today's Strait of Gibraltar. Although Atlantis Island's shoreline is rugged, legend has it that the island's core is a large and lush plain. Poseidonia, Atlantis Capital, is situated in the heart of Atlantis. It is a wealthy country with exquisite palaces and temples. Gold, silver, ivory, and a metal called Aurichalcum, which gleams like fire, are used to embellish the temple. According to the book's archives, Aurichalcum is a metal unique to Atlantis, with a value second only to gold. It's very useful for forging weapons and is extremely valuable. Atlantis' iconic concentric three-story structure may also be seen here. There are three-story rings surrounding Atlantis' central metropolis, and the waterways are strategically planned out. Atlantis was claimed to have been established by the sea god Poseidon, who is also associated with storms, earthquakes, and horses. With his youthful wife, Poseidon, the island was discovered for reasons best known to him. Poseidon married an attractive young woman whose parents had perished, but he couldn't inform the other gods. So he left her on the island. She bore him 10 children, 5 sets of twins and 1 boy called Atlas. As a result, Atlantis became the kingdom of Poseidon's children. It is entirely up to each of Poseidon's sons to run their own affairs and keep in touch with their siblings. Every 5 to 6 years, they will convene in the Temple of Poseidon in the heart of the country to discuss power distribution. An Atlantean government may be compared to the existing federal framework. According to Plato's portrayal, the people who live here are well educated and possess extremely sharp minds. They are not just adept at current technology, but also enjoy an unending supply of money and a carefree way of life. Furthermore, Atlantis also has a large army. They have 10,000 chariots and 1,200 warships, and they live a comfortable life. They start to explore more and more, and they even start to invade other countries. People lost their original diligence and intelligence as they were engulfed in luxury and corruption, as well as the erosion of human dignity over time. Finally, they enraged the gods, who punished them with destruction. Zeus, the gods' lord, wreaked havoc on Atlantis, with earthquakes and floods effectively destroying the city. Atlantis, according to tradition, was poised to declare war on Athens at the time. Atlantis was struck by an earthquake and a flood just as the conflict was about to commence. The Atlantis civilization inexplicably vanished from the world within a day and a night in light of this. The calamity was catastrophic, and it was directly tied to the Athenians. So the Athenian word of mouth was passed down to Plato from generation to generation, and Plato wrote the account, which has been handed down to this day. Many individuals, of course, do not believe in the reality of Atlantis, believing that it is just the utopia envisioned by Plato. This may be the great philosopher Plato, who just wished to borrow this story, which had been destroyed by the gods, in order to warn the Athenian people not to repeat the errors of the Atlanteans. Of course, there are others who think that Atlantis was once a genuine place on Earth. Furthermore, there should have been more or less proof of its existence around 10,000 years ago. After all, if the Atlantis remains are discovered, it may be feasible to examine them, find out why this powerful civilization perished, or explore the remains for amazing technology that goes beyond contemporary knowledge. Then we'll be able to unravel numerous long-standing mysteries, such as Egyptian pyramids and prehistoric megalithic constructions all over the planet. As a result, many individuals began looking for proof of the existence of this enigmatic kingdom, including archaeologists and explorers. So, where has Atlantis vanished to? There are more than 40 suspected Atlantis sites in the globe, according to the statistics with the fewest number on the internet, and some inflated data indicate there are more than 1,000 suspected Atlantis sites. But most people believe the most likely spots are just two. The first is our current Antarctica, which is depicted on an antique map. A map of the ancient globe was discovered in the Library of Alexandria at the turn of the century. This is the famous and magical Piri-Reis map. It was designed by Ahmet Muhyiddin Piri, the Turkish Navy's commander, thus the name. The map not only displays the position and contour of the whole American continent, as well as Antarctica, but it also mentions that it is based on an older, early 15th century globe map. There is an unexplained dilemma here. Before 1492, no one knew that the American continent existed at all. So how did old maps properly represent it? Even more exaggerated is the fact that we contemporary humans just found the Antarctic continent in 1818, yet this map depicts Antarctica accurately. Furthermore, scientists have discovered that the sketched form of the American continent on this ancient map is very equal to the shape of the American continent today, although the drawn outline of Antarctica is significantly different from the shape of the Antarctic continent today. We all know that the Antarctic continent is a country of ice and snow. Yet Antarctica does not appear to be covered in ice and snow on the old map, and it appears to be a very warm place. Researchers were perplexed at first until satellite remote sensing equipment became available, because scientists discovered that Antarctica is rich in coal resources and successively discovered fossils of many ancient terrestrial animals and plants on the edge of Antarctica, all of which show that Antarctica was once a warm land with lush forests and rich flora and fauna. People realized that the warm, spring-like Antarctic continent depicted in ancient maps actually exists. The humans living in Antarctica at the time had a very sophisticated civilization and a very extensive awareness of the world. At least they could travel far, as can be seen from this old map. Is it possible that Antarctica is the lost city of Atlantis? If this theory is correct, it means that Atlantis was buried in ice and snow and eventually vanished as a result of the rapid drop in temperature, leaving no trace. Many would argue that the mythical site of Atlantis is too far from the Antarctic continent today. But scholars believe that the globe's rotation axis is unstable and that the North and South poles of today were not the poles of the world in the past. As a result, there must be some difference between the former and present positions. In this scenario, Antarctica was formerly warm, so the transition would not be abrupt, and a highly developed civilization would be conceivable. Albert Einstein originally speculated that the North Pole was not where it is now, but rather near the north shore of today's Canada, more than 10,000 years ago. The current South Pole is likewise not the South Pole, but rather the temperate zone. Many internet users have discovered objects like pyramids in Antarctica using Google Maps, and there are even some ruins that resemble structures, indicating that the idea of ancient civilizations is more than just a fantasy. Aside from Antarctica, the Eye of the Sahara is the second possible Atlantis location. Many people believe that the Eye of the Sahara is the location of Atlantis, since it is located in Mauritania in the southwest of the Sahara Desert. It is a Richat structure, and it looks extremely similar to Atlantis described in Plato's book. The Eye of the Sahara was found by humans in 1965 as a result of photographs taken by astronauts, and its unusual structure drew numerous geologists to investigate it. The Eye of the Sahara was once thought to be a crater, but no meteorite bits were discovered nearby, and the core landscape appeared flat. Furthermore, no evidence of being burned by high temperatures or struck by meteorites was discovered. Thus, the meteorite impact theory was dismissed. Furthermore, because it contradicts the evidence of volcanic eruptions, the notion of volcanic eruption creation has been dismissed. There is no other location with a structure like the Eye of the Sahara. Scientists have yet to discover how the geological structure of the Eye of the Sahara came to be. The structure of the Eye of the Sahara, on the other hand, is very similar to the fabled Atlantis described in folklore. In circles, it's a concentric circular construction, because the outer circle of the Eye of the Sahara is measured to be 23.5 kilometers in diameter, and the size of Atlantis depicted in the book is 23.49 kilometers. The data obtained through on-the-spot measurements lead people who believe in the existence of Atlantis to believe that this is where the Atlantis site is located. Furthermore, there is a wide plain beyond the ring city of Atlantis in Plato's work, and the city is then encircled by mountains to the north and the sea to the south. Let's look at Eye of the Sahara again, via Plato's description to see whether it's very comparable. However, there is one difference. The sea has changed to sand where it should have been. Google Maps, on the other hand, can see that the sand that was once the sea is now only wisps of traces, as if it has been carried away by the tide. Furthermore, geologists have demonstrated this through investigation, finding indications of water erosion, implying that there must have been a lot of water in the past in this location. Biologists have recently discovered fossils of many marine creatures in the Sahara Desert, leading to speculation that the Sahara Desert was once an ocean. That is to say, this location on the outskirts of the Eye of the Sahara is likely to have been the sea, and thus it fits Plato's description of Atlantis. Some may wonder, shouldn't Atlantis be drowned by the sea at this point? What's the deal with it being on land now? In reality, Plato said in the book that Atlantis became a destination that ships could never reach after being slammed by a massive wave. As a result, some scholars assume that because of the location of Atlantis, the continental plate has suffered dramatic alterations as a result of a huge earthquake or tsunami, and has been elevated directly. The location where the water transformed into the land explains why Plato associated Atlantis' disappearance with a location inaccessible by boat, as well as why the Eye of the Sahara, which is thought to represent the Atlantis site, appears on land rather than on the ocean floor. In addition, the book stated that Atlantis is a gold and Aurichalcum rich country. What is Aurichalcum, and what does it do? Nobody knows it anymore, but Mauritania, the nation where the Eye of the Sahara is located, is Africa's second largest mining country, producing primarily iron as well as gold and silver. Gold is mined here by the world's largest gold mining firm. Plato said that Aurichalcum is particularly good for weapons, but gold and silver are unsuitable for weapons due to their soft nature. As a result, if Aurichalcum is iron, it confirms what Plato indicated, as well as the current situation in Mauritania. In addition, the first monarch of Mauritania is also known as Atlas. Although these extraordinary coincidences cannot be used as proof that Atlantis existed, they have led many individuals to believe that the tales surrounding Atlantis are not straightforward. It makes no difference. It makes little difference whether Atlantis existed or not. Those who believe Atlantis is real will continue to search and investigate. Even if they don't locate anything, I believe the exploring process will yield many unforeseen benefits. Those who do think it exists, as well as those who do not, should view this mythology as a myth in order to warn future generations.